venue that has been home to GALF was already about 10 years old at that time, and Goa Writers, we're a motley group of people who write either as a hobby or professionally, and this group at that time was about 5 years old. Over the years, two of our Goa Writer members, Bhai Mauzo, Mr. Damodar Mauzo, who is a Gyanpith awardee, and Mr. Vivek Menezes have taken the lead and done, it takes a lot of time and effort to get things together. And leading the way, there always has to be someone who's hand-holding, and that person is the director of the ICG. Right now, that is presently Dr. Pushkar. This International Centre was conceived as a forum to bring together thinkers, scholars, academics, achievers, sociologists, industrialists, and creative people from India and around the world. And over the years, GALF has had luminaries and budding writers. This is important because a lot of people who are good at maybe painting or at the performing arts or music, they don't get a platform to show off their talents, and this is one such platform. Many writers, artists, and musicians have come here because they wanted to. They paid for their travel and stay just so that they could be with culture lovers like you, people sitting right here just now. We've had delegations from neighboring countries, from faraway states like Arunachal and Sikkim, and distant countries like the USA and Canada. We've had voices from vulnerable groups, Meena Kandasamy as an example, and we've also had a Nobel Prize winner here, Mr. Abhijit Banerjee. There are other names, Shashi Deshpande, U.R. Anantamurthy, Teju Cole, Gulzar himself, the Amitav Ghosh, Mridula Garg, and Wendell Rodrigues. Some of us miss him so much. Mamang Dai, ex-IAS, brilliant writer. The poets Ranjit Hoskote and Mustansir Dalvi. The Snake Man, Romulus Whittaker. The down-to-earth, brilliant translator and author who has just recently published a book on palliative care, Jerry Pinto. Naresh Fernandes of Scroll.in. Actually, there are so many names, forget it. I can't read them all. Besides the writers, there have been artists and musicians who came. We were honored to witness their work. Lo Major and Akhu Chingangbam come to mind. This year, the lineup is very good. Dr. Arshia Sattar, who has translated, amongst other books, the Valmiki Ramayana from the Sanskrit into English. David Rodrigues, who writes in Portuguese. Ravikant Kisana, Professor of Cultural Studies, Hyderabad. Maitreyi Karnoor, Manish Gayakwad, Jonathan Gill Harris, Keshava Guha, Indranil Chakravarti, Parumita Vora. Parumita Vora, are you here? Please put up your hand. Delighted to meet you. She runs a wonderful website with a very attractive name. It's called Agents of Ishq. And there's a lot of serious writing there. Rochelle Potkar, Sandeep Roy, Shalva Whale from Israel, Saumya Ashok, Tony Joseph, Vidya Pai. Vidya Pai, are you here? Put up your hand, please. Good to meet you. I've read your work. I haven't met you before. Kanato Chofi, Kaustubh Deka, Sankara Subramaniam Rammurthy. Are you here? Mr. Shankar? Oh, he's sitting right at the back. Whose book, Asanga, is a very recent one. This evening, we also have two speakers, Doctors Rakhshanda Jalil and Easterine Kire. We also have unveiling of artwork by Goa's best-known living cartoonist, Alexyz, followed by poetry reading by Joshua Ippi. After that, we have a book launch, the first for this event, for this festival, Forest Recipes of Goa, Stories of Tribal Foods by Assavri Kulkarni with Remo. Remo will launch it. And then there will be a really nice, very, very typical Goan dance performance by the Sattari Baal Vikas Manch. These kind of performances are rare in formal settings, and we're lucky to be able to witness one of them. I will now request Dr. Pushkar to say a few words to those who are still having their tea over there. May I request you to come to a place where you can hear his speech better. Dr. Pushkar?
Good evening, everyone. Loud and clear? Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 14th edition of the Goa Arts Literature Festival. Before everything else, one of the things I really appreciate about our festival, this festival, and please allow me to heap some praise on ourselves, is that we get to the point very, very quickly. We do not test your patience. All that it will take between now and later, which is when the writers have their say, when the festival really begins, is about 2 or 3 minutes. I'm confident that you'll bear with me for these few minutes. So, first of all, thank you all for coming, and I mean everyone, for coming to the inaugural, and especially writers and artists from all over the country, a few from abroad. GALF is all about you, and the books you have written, and those of us who read our books. Not sure why one newspaper recently claimed that we are not reading your books. Keynote speakers Rakhshanda Jalil and Easterine Kire, artist Alexyz, Joshua IP, Assavri Kulkarni, Remo Fernandes and Nirmal Kulkarni, members of the Sattari, Baal, Vikas, Vivah, Manch, co-curators Damodar Mauzo, Vivek, Yatin Kakodkar, President of the International Centre Goa, trustees of the International Centre Goa, ICG members, delegates. Some of you have been here before. You have seen it all. Others who are here for the first time, a very, very warm welcome to you. Members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. GALF is organized by the International Centre Goa in association with Goa Writers, with the support of the Directorate of Art and Culture, Government of Goa. ICG President Mr. Yatin Kakodkar has, since 2014, that's more than 10 years, shouldered much of the responsibility for raising the funds for organizing the Goa Arts Literature Festival. His commitment and efforts and the support of ICG's trustees is the reason why we are able to carry on year after year. On behalf of ICG, I would like to thank our sponsors, HDFC Bank, the Dempo Group, the Department of Tourism, Government of Goa, Fomento Resources, and Axis Bank. I would also like to thank our festival partners, Goa Writers, especially the curators Damodar Bhai Mauzo and Vivek Menezes. Thanks also to Alexyz for preparing the official GALF 2026 network. Why was I going to say network? Anyway. For preparing the GALF 2026 artwork, which will be unveiled later this evening. Thanks also to many student volunteers, to the many student volunteers from colleges across Goa. You'll see more of them in the next 2 days. On behalf of ICG, I would also like to thank our media consultant, Rahul Chandravarkar, who is somewhere in the crowd here. Our social media consultant, Michael Praveen, who has been with us since last year. And designer Sayali, who is invisible but doing all the work from Pune. This year, like always, the media has been generous with the coverage of GALF, and we appreciate that very much. I hope that kind of coverage will continue over the next 2 days. Finally, I would like to appreciate the efforts of the ICG team, particularly Nilima. I think by now everybody knows Nilima. I was about to say no thanks to you, but she hasn't had a good night's sleep for at least 2 weeks. All delegates, thanks also to ICG staff members, Teja, and our support staff, in particular from housekeeping and the front office. All delegates who are staying with us, the credit for making you stay comfortable goes to our newly appointed General Manager, Devidas Shetkar, and if there's anything that goes south, please do not report to me, catch him. Okay, I'm not the person who's taking care of this. I think about 2 minutes are up. Thank you, everyone, and welcome once again.
I will now request a representative of the Goa Writers, a very senior person and a brilliant writer and a Gyanpith awardee, Bhai Mauzo, Mr. Damodar Mauzo.
Friends, a very good evening to all of you, especially those who are invited to attend this edition, 14th edition of GALF, all the delegates and other friends in the audience. Good evening to the speakers, Easterine Kire and also Rakhshanda Jalil. Very good evening to my artist friend Alexyz, whose cartoons always bring smile to our faces. I don't see Joshua here, but anyway, we'll be meeting him, the poet of this evening. Good evening to Yatin and Pushkar, who are the pillars behind this Lit Fest. In fact, they have kept GALF going despite many hiccups. And a warm good evening to my writer friends belonging to Goa Writers group. I don't want to name everybody, but senior writers like Isabel, I don't see her here. She never misses, that's why I presume she will be around here. And then Salil, Anirudh, and a host of others, including the new entrants who are very enthusiastic to go ahead with this Lit Fest. And a very hearty welcome. Of course, welcome is already given to you, but then this time on behalf of Goa Writers Group, whose unstinted resilience brings all of us together for the 14th time. As has been told to you by Sheila, it was 2010 when we inaugurated the first edition of Goa Lit Fest, Goa Art and Literature Festival, and at the hands of none other than the iconic author of India, Dr. U.R. Ananthamurthy. At that time, we had hardly imagined that we will go thus far to see the 14th edition happening right here. At the outset, I applaud the ICG for their determination to run the show successfully despite many odds. However, all our efforts are paid off when we often get the feedback from the past delegates. I was in Varanasi last fortnight, rather at the beginning of this month, where I met many writer friends, renowned ones, who have been here before, and they were all praised for our festival, and also some of them expressed their desire to revisit our festival. I myself have been privy to many a Lit Fest, and every time I was tempted to measure up to, I felt immensely proud of our festival. Yes, as Pushkar has already said, it's a moment of pride for us. We have to pat our own backs sometime. But you will also agree that edition after edition, we have improved our performance despite our constraints. Friends, Goa is a hub of art, music, festival, and literature. And here at GALF, we celebrate all the three at once. You'll shortly see how we celebrate the work of Goa's iconic artist, Alexyz. You'll be witness to the music evenings at GALF, rocking you tonight and the concluding one. And you'll see yourselves how we emphatically push our literature through the next 2 days. I hope you'll enjoy everything Goa has to offer and GALF has to offer to you. Whereas we in Goa continue to encourage the literary pursuit at a different level elsewhere, I find a scenario that puts dampers on the spirited writers. I was in Assam some years back to give away a prestigious award called Assam Valley Award. It had a cash prize of around 5 lakhs, I believe. Again, I was in Guwahati last year, where I was told that the award is no more existing. Of late, you all know the JCB prize. The JCB prize carried an award of 25 lakhs to the original and also 10 lakhs to the translator. And this was actually a great boost to the regional literatures. Unfortunately, it is discontinued. And to add to the misery of writers, and particularly the young ones who are aspiring writers, it is surprising that the National Academy of Letters, Sahitya Akademi, has been told to withhold the literary awards for 2025 for the reasons best known to the people in the dispensation. What is annoying is the silence on the part of writers. Do you call this scenario encouraging? Of course, awards are extraneous conditions that motivate writers. I don't think any writer worth his salt writes for awards. Nevertheless, award is one factor that brings recognition to the author and to his language. With this in the background, I am happy that Young GALF is happening right here as a part of the GALF 14th edition. Today, we have around 100 plus literary festivals happening all over the country. However, we do not want GALF to be counted as just one of them. Our aim is to have it with a difference. Over the years, we have retained our warm, intimate, and friendly atmosphere that builds the camaraderie and also solidarity. This is perfectly in tune with our motto, different ways of belonging. This is what we are celebrating every year. Before I conclude, I take this opportunity to congratulate the founder member of our Goa Writers, our beloved Victor Ranjal Ribeiro, on his completing 100 years of his meaningful life. And you will be happy to note that Victor continues to remain active in his literary pursuits. Another, also congratulations are due to the contributors of their project Appetite, an anthology of Goan writings made possible by its editorial team. The Penguin book will soon be released at this edition itself. Congratulations to all the contributors and the editorial team, also to Goa Writers Group. Once again, on behalf of Goa Writers Group and also on behalf of my co-curator friend Vivek and the entire GALF team, I extend my best wishes to you. Enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhai, for speaking your mind and on speaking on behalf of many writers. We now move on to our keynote speakers. What Bhai said regarding literature of the smaller places not being able to reach a wider audience because of awards, but also one of the reasons is because we don't have sufficient translators. We don't have good translators. Our first keynote speaker is Dr. Rakhshanda Jalil. She's a writer and translator, critic and literary historian, best known here for her book called Invisible City, The Hidden Monuments of Delhi. and a collection of short stories called Release and Other Stories. Her PhD on the progressive writers movement, as reflected in Urdu literature, has been published by Oxford University Press as Liking Progress, Loving Change. She runs an organization called Hindustani Awaz, devoted to the popularization of Hindi Urdu literature and culture. She's a graduate of Delhi University. She started her career as a lecturer. Then she worked at Aligarh Muslim University also as a lecturer and later as an editorial assistant. Then she became a sub-editor in the publications division of the India International Centre, rose to become an assistant editor there. Afterwards, she joined Jamia Millia Islamia as director of their outreach program. She co-edited a quarterly journal called Third Frame, Literature, Culture and Society, which was published and distributed by Cambridge University Press. She was Senior Associate Fellow at the Council of Social Development, New Delhi, and Associate Editor of its journal, Social Change. She has edited 4 collections of short stories, Urdu stories, a selection by Pakistani women writers called Neither Night Nor Day, New Urdu Writings from India and Pakistan, and Pigeons of the Domes, Stories of Communalism. She has co-authored 2 books, Partners in Freedom, Jamia Millia Islamia, and Journey to a Holy Land, A Pilgrim's Diary. She has 9 works that she has translated, Premchand's short stories, a collection of satirical writing in Hindi by Asghar Wajahat, 32 satirical cameos by Sadat Hassan Manto, Through the Closed Doorway, Nazms by Urdu poet Shahryar, short stories by Intizar Hussain, and many, many others, too many to list. The biography of Urdu feminist writer Dr. Rashid Jahan has published this under the title A Rebel and Her Cause. She has over 15 books and over 50 academic papers, and at present she is engaged in a study of Indian secularism. May I invite you, Dr. Jalil? Such a pleasure. Would you like to use this one?
I'll just use that. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been coming here to GALF for many, many years now, to sometimes to speak, sometimes to listen, and it's always a pleasure. When my friend Vikas asked me to come and speak at the inaugural, I was very deeply grateful to Bhai and to Vivek for giving me this opportunity. Now, it's such a glorious day and it's such a beautiful setting, but I have come with a very grim subject. And I apologize for that. I don't wish to strike a discordant note at the very beginning of what promises to be a very fruitful, very engaging conversation over the next few days. But I said to myself that if I don't talk about this here at GALF, then where else can I talk about it? So bear with me, please. I understand that for many years now, GALF has been engaged with... There seems to be an echo in this. It's a little disconcerting. I wonder if you can hear me. Shall I proceed? Okay. So I understand that one of the preoccupations of the 2 co-curators has been ways of belonging. And in some ways, ways of belonging is also what I have been working around in very many ways over the past few years. Identity, belonging, these are things that interest me. But I also have been trying to explore the dark underbelly of belonging, which is fear. And I want to talk about fear today. And I've come with a paper. I'll try to be short. I was told I have about 15 to 20 minutes. So I want to talk about the crushing fear. A fear that weighs on my chest with an inexorable weight and makes it difficult to breathe sometimes. Yes, with all my privileges of education, of social class, of having friends in the right places, I feel scared, more scared than I have ever been in my entire life. I must also confess to an almost persistent depression, like a low-grade fever over the past many, many years, one that doesn't quite halt the rhythm of one's life, but it does slow you down by its continuous, relentless presence in one's life. And at the end of the day, it makes one feel sad and somehow empty, as though a great deal that one had always taken for granted is slipping through one's fingers like sand. I believe this fear and depression is felt by many in spaces that we now like to call echo chambers. But today I will speak about the fear that Muslims in India in particular feel. And I realize that I'm sort of maybe painting myself in a corner here, but this is something I've been wanting to talk about from a public platform for some time now. I feel that I'm not alone in this fear and depression among a great many Muslims, especially in urban India. I can hear it in their silences. I can sense it in their steadfast refusal to get drawn into political debates. I notice it in their stoicism in the face of virulent hate that is swirling around in college and university WhatsApp groups, in RWA and housing society group chats, and so on and so forth. I spot it in the hastily withdrawn social media posts drawing attention to some recent communal outrage or the other. It could be a news report about a person killing his girlfriend and stuffing her body parts in the fridge. It could be about a business dispute, a completely commercial dispute, where the perpetrator, not the victim, happens to be a Muslim. If my own fear and despair and that of others like me is so palpable and pronounced, what of those Muslims who are doubly marginalized by their poverty and illiteracy, or vulnerable because they don't have safeguards and barriers, however flimsy, that people like us, and that's the other thing I like to question, what is people like us? But that's a subject for another debate. So people like us who live in our gated communities and we have these seemingly cushioned lives. So if our fear is so pronounced, what of those who do not have these safeguards? What of those who live on the edge of survival because they must perforce go out into the real world every single day to eke out some sort of living as electricians, plumbers, maids, garage mechanics, what have you? And we do know that in big cities, many of them do not give their real Muslim-sounding names because they are fearful that they will not be given jobs. So they come up with a fake, not Muslim-sounding name. And what of the vegetable vendors who festoon their carts? Thank you. Okay. I shouldn't, or I should? Okay. What of the vegetable vendors who festoon their carts with saffron flags after every call to boycott small Muslim businesses? Or the biryani vendors, kebab sellers, quilt makers, and so on, who've traditionally plied these trades for generations? What of the meat sellers whose makeshift stalls happen to be on the routes taken by the Kavariyas during every monsoon? This is quite a phenomena, especially in Upper India. And what of the imams and naib imams, often from the poorest of families, who are hired by Waqf boards to serve as custodians of small, isolated mosques, often surrounded by hostile neighbors? I don't look like a Muslim, and so to an extent I'm safe. In fact, some years ago, I think 2019, I'd come right here to GALF to talk about my book, But You Don't Look Like a Muslim. So unless called out to chant Jai Shri Ram to profess my Indianness, I'm largely safe. But what of my name? I think my first name I can pass off as a Parsi, but what can I do about my surname? it's a dead giveaway. When push comes to shove in the new India that is Bharat, not even speaking English will give me an exit pass. All this while, you know, if you look like something, you had short hair, you spoke English with a Tony accent, you could get away. But I don't think anymore. All my so-called privileges can be brought to naught by a crowd of lumpens. The realization is chilling. And if I were a man, imagine 75 years after independence, when all those stories were written by Sadat Hasan Manto of men having to pull down their pants to show what they were, whether they were a katua or not. The fact that this can still happen 75 years after independence is sobering. Now, I'm going to list out some scenarios. They're not hypothetical. They're all from newspaper headlines about things that happen. Suppose you're a man offering namaz in a berth in a train, minding your own business. Supposing you are a man wearing a topi and with a beard and offering a namaz on a berth in a train. You might recall that in a train to Mumbai in August 23, a man who was in the Railway Protection Force shot down 3 Muslims, one of them who was very obviously Muslim looking and offering namaz on a berth. So there are many instances. I don't need to share many of them with you. You are all aware of the Chief Minister of a state who is actively urging people to call out the miyas, and if it's a rickshawala, to pay him less than what he deserves as fare. There was also the instance of the same Chief Minister putting out, since later deleted from the official party handle on X, depicting very obviously Muslim-looking people being shot at point-blank range. There are many instances. There are Jab mulle kaate jayenge, Ram Ram chillayenge. These are slogans that have come into the public domain. Hindustan mein rehna hoga, Jai Shri Ram kehna hoga. And then the most egregious one by somebody who's now a union minister, whose face we see arguing in the parliament, who had very famously said, Goli maro salon ko. Now, these are not random, unrelated personal issues or personal biases that are confined to one's home. These are dog whistles. There is a clarion call to a large restive majority that is being brainwashed to believe that they are second class, third class, seventh class citizens in their own land. And they seem to be part of a larger narrative, a grand design. Now, since we have clearly turned into a nation of whatabouters, each of these hate-filled, terror-inducing slogans are instantly and viciously countered with those raised by fringe groups such as the PFI or what have you, or ISIS or whatever. When rapes, murders, corruptions, scams and scandals are thwarted in parliament by elected representatives of the people by instances of whataboutery, how can these rising instances of bigotry and hate not be similarly countered? I think we draw our lessons, as it were, or what we see on national television, and this then gets translated. It percolates down to the family, to dinner table conversations, to all sorts of social chit-chat. It is easier to come back with counter-accusations, to point fingers, to obfuscate, to fling more filth, to parry hate with hate than it is to understand fear, to acknowledge militant, muscular majoritarianism, and to call out the elephant in the room. Now, I think all of this is exhausting, and I think for a nation, it is in the larger run going to be that much more detrimental to us as a people. What we are witnessing today is a form of creeping normality, to call it by a better name, a process by which small incremental changes add up and they somehow become normal, or rather the new normal. Now, I don't want to pin everything to 2014 and to say that May 2014 ended the world as we knew it and a new era dawned. No, I don't think it is as simple. That's a very simplistic way of seeing things. I think there were many, many milestones, the Rath Yatra of the 1990s being one of them, where certain things were normalized. It became okay to hate, it became okay to other, and the fig leaf that was in place for a very long time, I think that was removed. I'll come back to the fear that I began with, and I won't take more time now. I'll just conclude with this. That also, I realize that I've been talking only as a Muslim so far, but that is because it is a lived reality for me. But I'm also aware that this fear that I'm talking about is shared by all sorts of people. It's shared by other minority groups, and there could be all kinds of minority groups. It could be the LGBTQ community, it could be forest dwellers, it could be anybody who holds views such as these, I mean, who are sneeringly referred to as the libtards. Now, I ask you to try out small experiments, and you can do any one of these and then see for yourself. You walk into a barista and you give your name as Salman or Salma, or for that matter, Umar Khalid or Sharjeel Islam, and you watch the reaction of people around you when the barista calls out your order. You see your friends and relatives and very loudly at a train station or an airport say, Khuda Hafiz. Or you do something that a journalist from Delhi did. He went about, his name is Mayank Austin Sufi. He went about his everyday life wearing a black jeans and t-shirt, which he does every single day, with only one addition. He wore a skull cap on his head, and he recorded his day's experiences, and it was published in his column in the Times of India. Or you do what I did today on my flight from Delhi to Goa. I took out my book in Urdu, and I was reading it on the plane. Just try these as an experiment and note the reactions of people around you. However, it would be a sad day if one were to give in to fear, to feel sorry for oneself, to wallow in self-pity, or, to lend credence to those people who say that, you're perpetuating the victim syndrome. I'm not a politician, I'm not an activist, I'm just a writer. And words are all I have. So I want to use them as tools in the only way a writer can. I can bear witness, I can speak up, and I can record or chronicle what I see around me. You may or may not agree with it, but, validate the experience that I feel. And in the end, I think the one thing we as a people need to cultivate, which will go a long way, is empathy. And by that, I mean the ability to say, I'm not you, but I see you and I hear you. I think that is maybe the way forward. I just want to end with these lines from To Kill a Mockingbird. And this is a quote. You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it. Thank you.
Dr. Jalil, thank you. Thank you for speaking your mind. I would like to say something to your speech. Dr. Jalil? Yeah, I probably have more things in common with you than I have with many other Hindu housewives, or many other Hindus. But you mentioned something about small incremental changes or creeping, etc. I think, though we are full of hate right now in India, there is a kind of rumbling towards common sense. It is small, but it's happening. Festivals like these indicate that there are still safe places, and there are many more than I think. They are probably on the increase. That start has happened. Enough is enough. So I do hope that say 5 years from now, things would have started turning around quite a bit. Let's hope. Thank you for your speech. Our next keynote speaker is Easterine Kire. She's a Naga poet who currently lives in northern Norway. The majority of her writings are based in the lived realities of the people in Nagaland. Apart from writing, she also performs jazz poetry with her band Jazz Poesy. She received a doctorate in English literature from Savitribai Phule, Pune University. Her motivation to write is summed up in her statement, "I felt we needed to create written Naga literature. We have so much oral narrative, but with oral dying out, it's all going to be lost." In 2003, she wrote the first Naga novel in English, entitled A Naga Village Remembered. It documents the cultural and social history of the Angami Naga community living in Konoma through the British invasion of the territory, the advent of Christianity, and subsequent modernity spanning an era from 1832 to the 1900s. Her second novel was A Terrible Matriarchy. It highlights the internal and social strife that grips Nagaland as a state in India. This was followed by Mari, that's the name of the book, based on the Japanese invasion of India in 1944 via Nagaland. Her subsequent novels include Bitter Wormwood, which was shortlisted for the Hindu Literary Prize in 2013. Don't Run, My Love, and Walking the Roadless Road, Exploring the Tribes of Nagaland are two other books. Her latest book, Spirit Nights, was published in 2022. Besides, she has written children's books, several articles, and many essays as well. She has translated 200 oral poems from her native language. She published her first book of poetry in 1982 entitled Kelhu Kavira, roughly translated as The Place of a Better Life. Many of the poems in the book portray the violence in Nagaland at that time. She is a founder member of Vivah Publications, which publishes folk tales, original research, and life stories of the Naga people. In 2011, she was awarded the Governor's Medal for Excellence in Naga Literature. In 2013, she was awarded the Free Word Prize by Catalan PEN Barcelona. In 2015, her novel When the River Sleeps was awarded the Hindu Literary Prize. In 2018, her poem Son of the Thundercloud was awarded the Baal Sahitya Puraskar by the Sahitya Academy. And in 2024, her novel Spirit Nights won the Sahitya Academy Award. A Terrible Matriarchy was selected to be translated into UN languages, and her books A Terrible Matriarchy, Mari, Forest Song, Naga Folk Tales Retold, and A Naga Village Remembered have been translated into German. Dr. Kire?
Hi, good evening, everyone, and it's lovely to be at GALF. Thank you, Vivek, for your invitation. I'm going to speak on a topic that I've titled It's Our Turn Now, and if you want a more modest title, it's Who is Marginalizing You? In 2016 in Mizoram, 2018 in Sikkim, and 2019 in Goa, we discussed this topic of marginalization, and yet I still find it relevant, and I'd like to interrogate the concept of marginalization again. But I want to do something that I've never done in public before. I want to present my credentials. Should I use that?
Turn off that mic.
Yeah, please. Thank you. So, I'm a writer from Nagaland in the Northeast, and I like to use the word Northeast. And I want to qualify it by saying that on my father's side, my grandmother is Kasi, so that covers the Meghalaya state. My grandmother on my mother's side, her brother married into Mizoram, so that's state number 3. Then I grew up in Upper Assam, that's state number 4. And I have a home in Sikkim. A family called Bookmans adopted me. And I have another home and another family in Manipur. It's called Ukiyo, and they have also adopted me. So I'm here representing the whole of the Northeast. And thank you. And because Vivek speaks so much about ways of belonging, I was trying to find ways of belonging to Goa, and I can say legitimately that 2 of my grandbabies were born in Margao. And one of them, Charlene Chavino, when she was about 5, out of the blue, we were watching a thunderstorm, and out of the blue she said, "I love my Goa." And I realized, okay, this girl she's Goan. And I love Goa too, and I'm still trying to love broccoli. That's a joke. Okay, to get back on track, I want to start with this story, remind you of this story. In the Garden of Eden, God asked Adam, "Who told you you were naked?" It's a big question, isn't it? And today, we too can ask each other, who told you you were marginalized? And it's important to question the motives behind such a definition, because it's a definition. I want you to take away this quote, students, if there are students here, take this quote away. Be highly suspicious of any institution or region that calls itself the center. That is how dictatorship begins. Marginalization is a constructed identity that someone wanted to place on you, and if you allow them to do it, you will end up seeing yourself as lesser. So let's think about this carefully. As a writer from the Northeast, I'm often asked, especially after winning book prizes, I'm asked if we are hoping to be more included in the mainstream now. And my answer is, what is that? Really, what is that? What kind of a question is that? I also get rude questions, and I get ignorant questions. And the rude questions come from a politically motivated corner. And the ignorant questions, I don't mind them because they'll be around so long as ignorant people are around. But a big question, and it's big for them, not for me, is what should you do and what should the Northeast do to be more part of the mainstream and to be less marginalized? So the word marginalized suggests that there is a center and it has its margins, the Northeast and Goa being those margins. It's okay to call some place the center for geopolitical reasons, but in literature and in the arts, it's a very dangerous thing. It's a very dangerous ideology. And what I'm calling dangerous is the division of regions into margins and center, peripheries and center in the field of literature and arts. Why do I call it, or why do I find it dangerous? Because complexities arise that go beyond the geographical. And what it does is it messes with your head. It messes with your mind, and you end up seeing yourself as forgotten, neglected, victimized, or overlooked. And there's nothing positive about such a mindset. Why should we appropriate it? Again, I hope students are listening, and if not, their supervisors. Why should we run after it when its survival depends on our inferiority complex? Let's not make the mistake of adopting it and inculcating it into the arts. Why? Because when we acknowledge the presence of a center, we give authority to it. We give it the authority to define us and to make decisions over our writing. And it takes on the audacity to put expectations on our writings. It dictates. It tells us how we should be writing, what we should write. This is so dangerous. It's dangerous for our cultural survival. And it's a threat, the threat of homogenization becomes very real when we allow there to be a center. If we choose to believe in the existence of a literary center, we will lose our quintessential selves and all the elements that make us original and unique. An even greater danger is the power we give to it over our histories. That is, the telling of our histories, including our political history and the ways it happened. So the center is a creation that's interested only in protecting itself. And as you resist the majority narratives and build up new narratives that reflect your situation truthfully, you will create something original and brilliant that others will flock to. And not just that, you will create something completely relevant because it is organically done. There will always be inequality and injustice in acknowledgement of a literary center. And the insidiousness of having the culture of a center would lead to delegitimization of our stories. And it would threaten our existence as ethnic entities. I'm not exaggerating, we've been seeing that in the Northeast. So what is the alternative? We recenter the center. You take charge. It's your day. And this is basically about choices. And choose the definitions others give you. Choose to resist them. Take the decision to see value in what you have. And again, you define yourself. And recall not just the positive things that visitors say about us, but what we know in ourselves about ourselves. For that is where our center should be. That is actually where our center is. And this is what we should take care of and take pride in. It's about not allowing others to define us or to dictate to us or make us feel we are missing out or that we are far from the imagined center. Stop using political yardsticks to measure ourselves. Relearn to believe in our own worth. Let us take care of our center. No one else can do it like we can. Recenter ourselves in order to learn to own ourselves again. Be yourself, as Sting sings it so well. Be yourself. Not a watered down version of yourself, and don't allow others to water you down. And how do they do this? They water you down by labeling you. Because labeling is actually commodification, and writers and their writings are not commodities. Commodification makes others put expectations on you. Don't compromise on your identity. It is God-given. And I want to pause here and say that because it is Goa, I can say God without any reservations, because in Margao we have the Mary and Jesus fast food truck. Then we have the Holy Spirit medical stores. And to top that, we have the Many Know Jesus gym. So, to end, where is your center? My answer is it's in the designated places of the spaces we call home. It is in the designated places of the spaces we call home. That is where your center is. That is where my center is. Hold on to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kire. Now we have, if I say Alex or Rafael Fernandes, nobody will know who I'm talking about, because he is mononymously known as Alexyz. He's an Indian cartoonist, former football player, admin, based in Seoul in Goa. And his name, Alexyz, was chosen based on a lead character in the film Zoba the Greek. In over 5 decades, you can guess how old he is, just keep guessing, I won't tell you. In over 5 decades, he's created over 40,000 cartoons. He's the recipient of the Goa State Cultural Award, the state's highest art and culture award. Cartoonist Mario Miranda's work inspired him to pursue a PhD in the field of cartoons. Here, I must say, in a reasonably competitive world, Mario Miranda actually encouraged his contemporary Alexyz to do his best in cartooning. Alexyz has authored the book Sportoons. Sportoon is a word invented by or coined by Alexyz. It didn't exist before. So the book of Sportoons, considered India's first collection of sports-themed cartoons, marked his debut in published works. His next book, How's That? Century of Cricket Cartoons, was the first collection of cricket-themed cartoons to be published in India. The inclusion of verses authored by the Australian cricketer Sir Don Bradman in this work led to its commendation by the curator of the Bradman Museum and International Cricket Hall of Fame in New South Wales, Australia. That museum currently displays 3 of Alex's artworks. Additionally, he presented an exhibition centered on cricket in Adelaide, Australia, with a special emphasis on Bradman. Alexyz is known for his political work during significant regional and national movements in India during the 1980s, and for recognition of Konkani as a language and Goa as a state. In the year 2000, Alexyz was invited by British Member of Parliament Keith Vaz to organize a 3-day exhibition of his cartoons at the House of Commons in London. He is the only Indian cartoonist to have received such an invitation. His cartoon exhibition and installations in December 2015, or to be in Goa today, acts as a visual record of the occurrences in Goa during the period between 2013 and 2015. Despite the financial challenges often associated with a career in cartooning, Alexyz remained actively engaged in sharing his artistic talents. He continued to lead fun shops, educational and creative workshops for children and young aspiring artists. He believes that freedom is essential to create cartoons. He says, if there is no freedom, then the fun is lost from cartooning. Alexyz will now unveil his own artwork, and after that he'll tell us something about his own work. For those of you who can't see from far away at the back, those are real spectacles over there with eyes. Alex, you have to say a few words. Come. You want to say here? You want to?
Oh, it's okay. Good evening, friends. Say good evening. Yeah, that's it. Just a little note about what you see on the canvas. This guy is supposed to be my dad. Say hi to him. Thank you. Now, he's a guy who never read books, but he allowed me to read, go to college. He was a very simple man. And his name was Jean Zuzé. Say hi to Jean Zuzé. Hi, Jean Zuzé. Thank you. Nothing much more I want to say. Thank you.
Alexyz is remarkably talented and also remarkably humble. Now we have a poetry reading. Joshua Ippa, may I request you to come on stage? He's a Singaporean poet, editor, literary editor, and his poetry collection includes the award-winning Sonnets from Singlish. He's co-founder of the literary non-profit Sing Lit Station, and his other books are Making Love with Scrabble Tiles, Footnotes on Falling, Translation to the Tanglish, and Own Yourself, Say Own Yourself. His writing explores the nuances of everyday Singapore life, blending Singlish, pop culture, and formal structure like sonnets. It's on.
Good evening, GALF. It's good to see all of you again. I was last here in 2014, 12 years ago, at the 5th edition of GALF, so I'm very happy to be back once again. Thank you, of course, to Vivah and Damodar for inviting me once again, and to all the illustrious speakers for going before. I want to actually respond to the first keynote speaker and what she spoke about fear with a poem that I wrote about 10 years ago on a similar topic, and it's called Fear of Poetry. Fear of poetry. A free speech. This is what I can and cannot say, a little and a lot, in all the time allotted to me on this earth. I fear I say nothing without it being sent to vet, like a sick animal. I hold my own tongue. It is moist like a dog's. I eat my own words. They are tastier with ketchup. I chew my own cud, but I do not share it with others, nor do I force others to share it with me. That is an important difference. I shut my own trap. I keep my own counsel. I shoot my own messengers. I close my own case. I answer my own fan mail, which I also write. Very well, thank you. The act of saying is just so, an act, but also an action. Mouth to mouth, through word of mouth, the mouth become flesh. The month, restate, rehash, resuscitate, refresh. See, I do not stand behind anything I have said. Rather, I am standing off to the side, and the words are just sidling, stumbling, sashaying past me out of the subway, the rolling deeps, in a hurry to get to their wives or workplaces or watering holes or where they need to go. I am just a contractor of the Land Transport Authority whose job is to count the passage of words, not to judge or pronounce their sentences, but just number them as they go by, for smarter people to forecast and graph future transportation system upgrades. But honestly, I fudge all the results, because really these words do not count, are not accountable, will not demand a recount. I am irresponsible for them and will not respond on their behalf. See, I used to write prepared statements for moments like these, where clarity or obfuscation would be required, but now we have AI chatbots for that. After my shift, I will walk through the talk shop and the speakeasy, walk past the open mic, the spoken word, walk past the writing workshop and the masterclass, to where words fail, where language lets you down, where meter is marginalized in my own mind, where poetry pisses me off. I am allowed to say all these things because I am not in my own country. I am not even in my own right mind. I am not myself. See, I cannot say all of this without first imagining someone else saying it for me, to deceive the senses embedded in my brain. Repeat after me, I am not saying anything. Because if you do not, the explosive implants behind my eyes will go nova, and I will still have said nothing. Pardon me, but if I subtly shove my arm up my ass and go in deep, reach up in the elbow, I can operate the levers of my mouth, opening and closing like a fish. I need the other hand in there as well, to hold my tongue, to pilot my palate, to ululate, to yodel in the language of the animal, the other, the margin. Finally, once both hands are settled, I stick my head in there as well and blow a column of vibrating air into the long horn, echoing from my gut. This performance is a free speech. It is priceless, invaluable, and worth absolutely nothing. Thank you. I have 2 more poems for you today, one long, one short. When I was here 12 years ago, I was a young man. Now I am a young father. That's the one thing that's changed a lot about me. And so I want to read a poem about fatherhood called Fatherhood Statements. The day I was born was the day my son was born. I learned about responsibility. Responsibility, my ability to respond, to answer for, be surety, to pledge, make a libation, serve a bond, a liquid sacrifice, a guarantee. Response. The Latin root gives sponsor, and despond gives correspond, someone to co-respond with, a spouse. Spondere is a promise. What a bond to be born, by Jove or by Bon Jovi. It's my life. No, it's yours. Oh, we're halfway there. Oh, living on a prayer. Did you know born is the past tense of bear? To sustain, to endure, a large carnivorous mammal of the family Ursidae, a state of being, to carry, to bring forth, to bear down, to bear in mind a child. What is it to be male today? To mail it in? To wear it like chainmail? To may or may not show up, to malinger, the reliability of a mailman carrying other people's letters and never your own. To be a Batman or a role model, to wear a mask and occasionally your underwear on the outside. Pater, paternal, paternity, patronymic, patriarchy, patrimony, immaterial things handed down from the past, and then matrimony. What is that contrast? To be a patron or to patronize, pop like a firework. I'd rather be a vagabond. Oh, father, be another one. The day he was born, I breathed. The day he was born, I was bona fide bonkers. How far I'll go as a father, and how much farther? How much further for my furless Furby, for a baby? The day I was Bond, James Bond, shaken, not at all stirred, a revolving door of men trying to play an impossible or possibly obsolete role. The home is the place of our furthest adventures. I've heard it said, we are our oldest ancestors. And I think about links from village and ancestral shrine that trace across 10,000 miles of south, what they call China's sea, a bobbing line that one can trace from ear through tongue and mouth. Umbilical yet universal, a babbling brook, a look that sees through me, a radical transparency, a medical need. The child is father of the man, and yet again I am unable, unmanned. Those explosive syllables, the bar I have to cross or limbo under. No more bars to hop, yet bars to be dropped. Last call at the bar to the bar, for whose small arms akimbo will I stop? What is this loss? This marginal attempt to gloss the end of my story as the beginning of his? What brave new world newborn is this? Thank you. I come here today with other Singaporeans, Daryl Lim, Wei Jie, Nora Lee, and Jemima Wei, a wonderful contingent all the way from Singapore. And I hope you enjoy us and enjoy them as well for the rest of the week. And I just wanted to leave you guys with a Singapore poem, a Singapore love poem, to end the night on a slightly more positive note. I believe in love, just like a Singaporean believes in spring. Namely that it exists. Not here. Somewhere. Like a frog in a well, believes in the sphere of the sky, which he tells everyone is the sun, and is, for maybe 1 hour a day, exactly right. Thank you all.
Thank you, Joshua. Now we have the first book release of this festival. I will request Assavri, please come up to the stage. Assavri and Nirmal Kulkarni, her husband, they're both graduates of the Goa College of Art, and their dedication towards nature and sustainable living has helped them reach new artistic heights and a greater understanding of Goa's forest ecosystem. Assavri, where's Nirmal? Yeah, okay, hi. Assavri loves to experiment with traditional foods and clothing, is bohemian in many ways, committed to yoga, and as a professional photographer, she uses a trademark style of lighting subjects with natural light, which bring her subjects alive on screen and on paper. Her first book was a coffee table book on markets of Goa. The second was a guide on the aspect of light or lighting in photography. This is her third book. And Nirmal, who is a snake man hero, chose a career that involves living for days together in the wild, deep forest, proving that courage comes in different forms. What is remarkable is, and in India we really should honor such scientists, he has discovered new species in the Western Ghats. Any of you here who are botanists or zoologists will know what kind of effort that requires. If you want to know what conservation and sustainable living means firsthand, you have to look at the lives of Assavri and Nirmal Kulkarni. I need to call on stage Remo Fernandes. Remo. I don't need to introduce him, but I must. Remo Fernandes, Padma Shri, writer of the danceable number Maria Pitachi, the story of Maria, famously featured in the film David and Trikal, is one of Goa's best known musicians, but I think he is the best. No Goan party is without at least one of his songs, very, very danceable songs. Remo's music often incorporates the traditional Konkani, Mando and Dulpod styles. I'm handing the mic over to Assavri. By the way, Assavri and Remo share the same birthday, 8th of May. Those of you who want to save it in your phones, please do so.
So we have one extra book. Can I call my father just for the release on the stage? Vivek. Yeah, my father Vivek.
Mr. Vivek Kandalgaonkar, please come on to the stage. For the book release. Thank you. So here is the gentleman who is responsible for bringing up Assavri such that she loves nature and she does everything as naturally as possible. Give a big applause, a big hand to Assavri's daddy. She just had to have him over here for the book. Assavri, you need to say a few words. Okay, so this is how she's wrapped her book, because she wanted it to be as traditional as possible. And the book itself is about foods that grow in forests, tribal recipes, very basic recipes, full of nutrition, full of natural taste. And first will be the book, the launching of the book. They will open it and show it to you. And then I will hand the mic over to Assavri to say something about it. can open it. हे फक्त pull करू जाय. सकल दे. Assavri, I'm handing it over to you.
I think I and Nirmal are going to have a discussion on the book, and it's putting photography, food, emotions, stories, and forest. Baba, you may sit, or if you want to go back, no, you have to sit. No, you sit for some time.
I only came to launch the book. I leave the husband and wife to fight it out now.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so, but the most interesting two recipes I would like to talk about is, have you heard about something called bamboo rice? Bamboo rice grows when the bamboo dies, and it happens once in 50 years. And the forest people collect those seeds and they cook it in form of rice. And this happens once in 50 years or once in 14 years. Whenever the bamboo flowers in the forest and it dies, these seeds are formed. So it's a very, very phenomenal process. And to know more about this, please go through the book. The book is available at the lawns at the Forest Corporation and Development stall. Other interesting recipe is called khaketli armi, or it's armpit mushrooms. So in ancient times, people would collect or forage mushrooms while they were traveling from one village to another, and they would have salt with them to keep the leeches away. So they would take a good edible leaf, wash the mushrooms, wrap them with little salt, put them in their armpits, and start walking to another village. And the mushrooms would get cooked in their body heat, and by the time they would reach whatever place they were going, the mushrooms would be cooked and they would just snack on it. So as simple as that, and it's called armpit mushrooms is what I have called it, but it's called khaketli armi. And this was the first recipe which I got to know from Sushma Majik, one of my forest friends. And I said, this needs to be documented. This is 15 years back I'm talking about. And that's when this book started. So, yeah. And
should we sit?
Yeah.
Good evening. Am I audible? Do you want to sit?
Yeah. Why don't you also join us, Sheila? Can I come closer?
It's as Sheila mentioned, I am a herpetologist. I study reptiles and amphibians. That includes snakes, lizards, crocodiles, and frogs. I normally don't get called to places like this to speak, but when I do, I become a little bit comfortable. It's a nice, comfortable chair. And thank you for having me here. I've known Assavri for about 30 years, yeah. I claim to have seen her first in some Bodhgeshwar's fair in Mapsa when she was about 7 or 8. The color of the dress keeps changing. Sometimes I say it's yellow, sometimes it says pink. But officially I met at the art college. One of my art college professors is here in the gathering, and I'm very happy that then she did not know that I was dating Assavri. But anyways, that's a different story. Yes, it has been an amazing journey with Assavri because I've known her as a student. We've studied together for about 5 years at the Goa College of Art and, begun a journey together. I then, also know her as a contemporary. We've actually worked together on a few projects. We did a couple of photo exhibitions together. We got married about 27 years ago. I'm bad with numbers.
This February, it will be 21 years.
Yeah, 21 years together. And But yeah, so that happened, and so I've known her quite a bit of, in different aspects. And with the training as a researcher, I've also known a lot of other traits about her. But this book, and I'll read the name once again for all of y'all. It's basically Forest Recipes of Goa, Stories of Tribal Food. I've been walking the forest myself since I was 12. It's been a long journey. I haven't seen a bamboo flowering yet, which tells you my age, because she's told in after how many years it's flowered. But this book actually surprised me quite a bit in many ways. It's about Assavri's understanding of the forest in a completely different way to what we do as researchers. And this probably is a question to you, Assavri, and I really want to share with us this thing. Tell me 5 things that I do not know about you and which are there in this book and the forest here. And I'm counting them, as people who do a little bit of species research, we count them. So yeah, 5 things your
You
time
mean
starts.
about the book, right? Not about...
You can tell other things also, I'll be really interested. The book.
Okay. So...
I've written things down
Hi,
so that I can
Mandira.
ask her a lot of stuff.
So, about the book, very interestingly, because I don't come from research background, I'm a photographer, I'm an artist. For me, I started, after this book, I've started looking at every plant, whether is this edible, is it not edible? Are you okay, Nirmal?
Yeah.
So,
I'm listening.
okay. So, I have started looking at every plant, every root, every seed, every bark as, is it edible? Is it something that can be used? Because since I've been moving around with these forest women, they just pluck and they start munching. And I'm like, is it okay to do that? And so I've started also doing that because some things brush on upon you, right, when you live together. So working with the forest communities, the Kunbis, the Veribs, the Gaudas, the Dhangars, some things have brushed onto me. And yes, that's something that you didn't see me doing otherwise. Like, I don't look at, I just look at things as a photographer more. Second thing I would say that I've, anthill, anthill? We all know satay or anthill. I've started eating that mud now. It's edible. Do you know that? You can have a little bit of it. Like you can have a pinch of it once a week. It's good for you. It does good to you. So, if I may say, I've started eating mud. That condition is called pica actually in medical term. But yeah, to be short and clear, I used to eat dirty mud from the urban cities first. Now I eat the forest mud. So I can proudly say that. Third thing is, this and I would like everybody to know that when things go wrong, I cry. Even very little things go wrong and I cry. And I believe that crying is something that helps me not quit on any of my projects or in life. Crying helps, and I think it's not a thing about weakness. My family or friends, every tear that I shed over little things, they say, why are you crying? It's going to be all right. But the crying is a way of telling me I'm not going to quit. So that's one thing I do. It's not a weakness for me. Fourth thing is I cannot live without your tea.
Oh, nice.
He makes the most amazing tea. So every time I would come back from a shoot, I say, Nirmal, cha kar. So it's like something that my daughter teases me also. And you may not know, but I really, really like the tea, the way you make my tea. I just love it. And fourth thing about the book, I must say that it's you who introduced me to the forest. Otherwise, as an urban girl from Betim, I would have never ventured into forest. I would have never known what forest is. It's because of the little treks you took me from the college after we got married. The 1 month in Arunachal, in the thick forest of Arunachal, where the Bodos were there and the tribals were there, I stayed with you. I would have never done that otherwise if it wasn't you who convinced me that forest is beautiful and it's safe to be in forest. We all think that forest has got wild animals who are waiting for you to come and attack you and they're going to kill you. No, it's not. He's always made me feel safe in the forest. And for every occasion that we have, it's always the forest trip, which is like he gives me a forest trip, and that's very special to me. I think that answers most of your questions.
That's very nice. Actually, that answers my questions and actually also leads to another question from your answers. Forests of Goa, something that personally I'm very connected with, and I think a lot of people in this audience are also. Besides the fact that Goa has tigers, which I will tell everyone, I would like you to tell me about Goa's forest from your perspective.
Okay. Seriously speaking, there has been time then when I would go for the shoot and I had time and date fixed that tomorrow morning at around 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock I have to leave for the trip to meet these women, because each journey would take me 2.5 hours to get to the location and then start climbing the mountains or the forest for next 3 hours sometimes or 4 hours. I would be climbing and there had been times, I must have never told you this, but I have kissed my daughter goodbye and have gone feeling that if I don't come back today, that it's made me feel so unsafe sometimes that I was going to places that I don't know where I was going. I was told that you have to go and meet this tribal or this woman or this man and he's going to take you ahead from there. And there have been times where I have been alone. Of course, I had friends who came along sometimes, but that feeling that would I come back home today, would I reach back home, was not nice. It was because Nirmal always told me before going to the forest that take care of the snakes because you can get bitten. The bear attacks are very common, and if you're attacked by a bear, you don't survive most of the times. Tigers at least are okay. But Nirmal would warn me every time I went, be careful. So my tripod was my weapon. My tripod used to weigh around 5 or 6 kgs, which I will carry on my back and besides my camera. Yes, I have felt sometimes unsafe, but most time the women who were with me made sure that I was safe, and they made sure I ate well, I drank well. A minute they would see a snake, they would just kill it, take a stick or a stone, and I would say, no, don't do that. And the snake would be killed by the time I would say anything. Because for them, I was their guest, and they wanted to keep me safe. Goa's forests are beautiful. I mean, each one of you here must visit our forest. I'm not talking when I say forest going to Bondla or, Mollem. I'm talking about really walking the forest where you don't know where you're going. You just sit there and you listen to the sounds of cicadas, the raindrops falling, the leeches climbing onto me. Most of the times I would come back home after the shoot and there would be leeches in the places I can't even tell you, forget in my hair and all, but in places that the blood would have become into a jelly, and I would have a bath and I would be like, why am I doing this? What is the need for this? Why am I risking my life? That was a feeling sometimes. But the forest always made me feel safe, and I'm here talking with you all with my book.
So this is very interesting. And it's a good point you brought up actually, because the book also says it really nicely. We always keep forests and communities or villages and forests separate. It's in the last few years that even as researchers, are now accepting that people are part of the forests, and forests and communities are together. Your book is an amazing mirror to that, and I think documents that really well. Tell us a little bit about the communities that you met in the forest. Very short. I have quite a bit of questions.
I'm going to make it really short, but we all talk about sustainable living in Goa. We all talk about we're not going to use plastic bags, or we wear things that are more not fast fashion. But the villagers are the real people, or the forest people are real people who actually follow this without even understanding they're living a sustainable life. So I think the communities are so much more connected to the forest, to the sky, to the moon, to the sun, that they follow everything by the sun and the moon. We have to look at they know without looking at the watch what time it is. And they would say, okay, let's start walking down because it will get dark and it's not going to be safe. So they exactly knew everything. They're so much more connected to the forest, to each other. They are so much more tolerant towards each other, towards the animal, to the snake that ventures into their house, to the tiger roaring, to everything, because for them it's a home and it's just a little situation that they face. They say it's nothing that we make a big deal about a small snake coming into a house. For them it's just another day and another situation that they deal with.
Yes. This is really interesting, and things keep changing. Both me and Assavri are from this generation which actually developed black and white film. Yeah. We then went on to have our own rolls. We then went on to have slide rolls. And from slide rolls, we've actually gone on to DSLRs. And now we've got mirrorless cameras which have intelligence. It's been a long journey. And these are long-term projects. I've actually noticed that you've been taking a lot of long-term projects. Your first one, of course, is me. We've been around for almost 2.5 decades. But Markets of Goa, another book which Assavri did, she worked for about, I think, 10 plus years. Then there is, this entire collection and photographs and stuff of the Kunbi Sari, which again is partly done, and she's been doing this amazing work. And now this one, Forest Recipes, again, I think is about another 10 years. Tell me about this fascination for taking long-term documentation projects and how easy, I know it's difficult, but how do you just cope up with these long projects? I've been a witness, but I'd like to hear it through your words.
I think I like to be committed. I like long-term commitments. That's why I'm with you. It's been so many years.
Thank you.
But I like adventure. I don't like things. I don't like to do things or wear things or say things which is already done. I like to do something which is never done before. I like to experiment. In photography, we say that it's not about the method. It's about the practice. So, I can get better at my work only if I keep practicing. And they say when the adventures keeps your brain young. And the minute you start feeling that you are done everything and you are dusted and done, that's when you start getting old, I guess. So I think new projects, new adventures, and of course I have amazing support. When I mean support in the sense, if I have to ask for help, there's always amazing help that comes my way. And without you, I think I wouldn't have been able to do anything, because you take care of Naya, you manage so many things. Of course, you don't know to drive and cook, but most of the things you manage otherwise. So it's easy for me. I've got amazing set of friends. Yes, when a thought comes in my mind about a project, I know it's going to be done, because it just, if the thought is come, then I think the final project or the book or whatever I'm trying to do, a film, documentary, it will happen by itself. I just have to work towards it. How it will be done, where it will be done, I don't think about it. I just know I have to just slog and work like a horse or a dog or a woman or whatever you say. I just have to be focused and keep doing my work, and I know I'll reach my destination some way or sometime.
So this I must admit, yeah. And after a lot of scientific thought and even some research, I have realized that women, and especially mothers, have some sort of superpower. Yeah, it's there. Every mother is a type of a superhuman that we've just not been able to find how, but there is, and every mother knows how to use that superhuman skill just at the right time that she wants it to. Assavri's been doing that for a lot of time. There have been times when both of us have to do field work because, this is interesting. A lot of our work is also on the seasons. If we miss something in a particular season, whether it is the monsoons or the winters, because it's all connected to the forest, we have to wait for the next year. You can't get it back. It's irreversible. And that is something which the book talks about also. That, it is seasonal biodiversity which women know. And surprisingly, Assavri's got really amazingly informative about it, especially about its botany, something which I really admire. But as an individual, and more importantly, as someone who is, been an artist, been a photographer, now an author, also having done a film, I'd like to ask you, is there any message for photographers and writers, friends and family, for people who are doing projects like this?
Just be kind to each other. I think that's very important. Kindness takes you a long way. But I also believe there's nothing called good or bad photographer. There's a photographer who's working, who's observing, and who's tirelessly, effortlessly putting effort in taking pictures every day. And that's what it requires to be a good photographer. It's art is subjective. It's each one's, and it has a narrative that one may understand or may not understand. It's very important as an artist, as a photographer, or maybe a writer, to observe and see less and observe more. In the era of AI and scrolling, observation and being stuck to one photograph or an image for a longer time will take you a long way. I think that's what I feel I do many a times. I just look at leaves for hours sometimes, or stone, or just something that people think I'm gone crazy. I keep staring at things because I'm just looking at the light. The light behaves differently each second. That's why very importantly, if I may say, people always shout at me. My father always keeps shouting, "Khoi dauta tu, khoi dauta, where are you rushing? Where are you going?" Everybody keeps shouting at me, "Where are you rushing?" But I have learned to work with the light. I work with the light. So every second the light changes. If I don't catch up with the light, it changes. It's gone. That moment is gone. You will never ever get it. So yeah, to all the people who keep saying, "Why are you rushing all the time?" It's because I have to rush. Otherwise, I will not be able to do a lot of work that I'm doing.
And I think both of us will have to rush too. But before that, I will, with your permission, read the first two paragraphs of this book. I think they sum up the book very well, and I would love to read from that. This book is a meeting of many worlds, of food and forest, people and portraiture, emotion and observation. It is both a scientific and soulful documentation of Goa's forest communities, their faith, and their intimate relationship with the ecosystem. The forest is more than a landscape. It is a living kitchen and a breathing archive of memory, history, ritual, and taste. Every leaf, flower, fruit, shoot, bark, and root carries a recipe, not only for nourishment, but for belonging. And I chose this because of the theme of course, this festival. I would now also like to
Assavri.
very quickly
What happened? You searching for something?
Yeah. I'd also like to say one last paragraph about Assavri. And something which most of us know, but this is very nicely written. Assavri Kulkarni, born in Panji, Goa, is a visual storyteller working at the intersection of fine art, documentary, and commercial photography. With a deep engagement in food ethnography, her practice, currently shaped through a MFA, which is a Master's in Fine Art, explores memory, ritual landscape, and food as forms of cultural knowledge. This, for all of you, is Forest Recipes of Goa, Stories of Tribal Food, a photo essay by Assavri Kulkarni. Congratulations and thank you for listening to us here.
Sheila, can I have 1 second here?
Yes.
So Nirmal, I wanted to ask you in front of everybody, while I was making this book, there were lots of ups and downs, tears, fights, all that. What was the most difficult time that you had, you think, with me, while the book was happening?
There's a bunch of difficult times, you know, you all should buy the book to know. Every tuber, every flower and bark and fruit and tree which is there in the book I've eaten here. She would get it home. And I had to eat all of it and give a response. I work in the Western Ghats in Northeast India. I eat everything. But so I think that was one. But on a serious note, both of us are completely, we've come from the same, Goa College of Art, but I went on to do my master's in environment and ecology. So our training diverged over there. Assavri is very creative and impulsive, and her training actually does that. Whereas mine is much more focused and research oriented and more data driven. So there are sparks and clashes over that. And I think that's where the challenge was. But I'm amazingly proud of the result. And I hope all of you all will like it too. Thank you.
Thank you for patiently listening to us. Sheila, can I help you with something?
No, thank you so much. Thanks a lot. May I invite Remo? Do you like to come and say something or sing for us? Okay. Okay, we move on to our next and last program, that is Goa is known for its various art forms. Writing is one of them. There's art, there's music, and then there is dance. And the Sattari, Baal, Vikas, Vivah, Manch. This is a team of talented folk artists which has performed all over India. They were trained by Dr. Pandurang Gaukar, and they have performed in other countries as well. They use and they perform with Gumat Arti, Marulo, Talgadi, Gofsama Nrutya, Dekhne Nach, Tashe Dindi Patak, and many other forms as well. This is ground level folk art. This is not something that you easily see on stage. So I do hope you'll enjoy this performance because it's rare. It isn't something that you can easily see. May I call the... May I call the performers on stage, please? So that they can make play.
मौके पर तिलक वर्मा ने अकेला गेंदबाज की राजपास की तरफ वापस कोई रन की संभावना नहीं.
Making sure that he doesn't go too full. Another delivery with a flat stretch. Pushed back towards the bowler. Now Erasmus pulls out of his delivery strike. One of the fielders was
Mic check. Hello.
telling him to bowl the last ball, and he doesn't get to the pitch of
Hello. Hello. Mic check. Hello. 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 Mic check. Hello. Hello.
He delivered it from behind, and the umpire says that you should have at least crossed me so that I could have seen your release.
Hello.
Therefore, the umpire has called this a dead ball. It would be bowled again. Here comes Erasmus.
Hello. Mic check. Hello. Hello.
Meets the fielder at cover. End of the over.
Hello. 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 Hello.
बेहतरीन टाइमिंग और फुटवर्क क्वालिटी प्रोडक्ट्स की पहचान ISI
Hello. Hello. Hello.
एरास्मस का बढ़िया ओवर समाप्त हुआ जिसमें उन्होंने न सिर्फ एक सफलता जीती बल्कि भारत की रन गति को भी रोकने में कामयाब हुए. बहुत तेज गति से रन बन रहे थे जब ईशान किशन बल्लेबाजी कर रहे थे, लेकिन उनके आउट होने के बाद अब सूर्य कुमार यादव मैदान पर आए हैं. अभी तक बहुत ज़्यादा गेंदों का सामना उन्होंने नहीं किया है, तो थोड़ी सी रन गति भारत के लिए जरूरी है.
But an interesting moment in the last over. Often Erasmus delivers the ball from 25 yards from away from the stumps from
तव रूपानी नाटल्या नटल्या तव रूपानी नटल्या माझी आई नव रूपानी 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 नटल्या 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 नव दुर्गे माते पाया तडे तुझ्या निवली माझी पेटल्या नव दुर्गे माते पाया तडे तुझ्या निवली माझी पेटल्या देवली माझी पेटल्या देवली माझी पेटल्या देवली माझी पेटल्या माये देवली माझी पेटल्या देवली माझी पेटल्या माये देवली माझी पेटल्या तव कृपानी नटल्या माझी आई नव कृपानी नटल्या तव रूपानी नटल्या माझी आई नव रूपानी नटल्या 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 कामदेवता गोमंतका माता कामदेवता गोमंतका माता कामदेवता गोमंतका माता कामदेवता गोमंतका माता उलो मल्यार प्रगटती जाता उलो मल्यार प्रगटती जाता कामदेवता गोमंतका माता कामदेवता गोमंतका माता उलो मल्यार प्रगटती जाता उलो मल्यार प्रगटती जाता श्रीनाव दुर्गे नमन करिता श्रीनाव दुर्गे नमन करिता श्रीनाव दुर्गे नमन करिता श्रीनाव दुर्गे नमन करिता तव रूपानी नटल्या माझी आई नव रूपानी नटल्या 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 नव दुर्गे माते पाया कधी तुझ्या जीवली माझी पेटल्या नव दुर्गे माते पाया कधी तुझ्या जीवली माझी पेटल्या देवली माझी पेटल्या देवली माझी पेटल्या देवली माझी पेटल्या माये नटल्या माझी आई नव रूपानी नटल्या तव रूपानी नटल्या माझी आई नव रूपानी नटल्या नव रूपानी नटल्या नव रूपानी नटल्या चाफ्या फुलाची कोच पाकळी चाफ्या फुलाची कोच पाकळी चाफ्या फुलाची कोच पाकळी चाफ्या फुलाची कोच पाकळी आई माळटा तुका मणकोची वाकळी आई माळटा तुका मणकोची वाकळी प्रदक्षिणा घालता तुका प्रदक्षिणा घालता तुका प्रदक्षिणा घालता तुका माये प्रदक्षिणा घालता तुका प्रदक्षिणा घालता तुका माये प्रदक्षिणा घालता तुका चाफ्या फुलाची कोच पाकळी चाफ्या फुलाची कोच पाकळी चाफ्या फुलाची कोच पाकळी चाफ्या फुलाची कोच पाकळी आई माळटा तुका मणकोची वाकळी 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 प्रदक्षिणा घालता तुका प्रदक्षिणा घालता तुका प्रदक्षिणा घालता तुका माये प्रदक्षिणा घालता तुका प्रदक्षिणा घालता तुका माये प्रदक्षिणा घालता तुका तव रूपानी नटल्या माझी आई नव रूपानी नटल्या तव रूपानी नटल्या माझी आई नव रूपानी नटल्या 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 रथ तुझो माय चौरंगी घोड्याचो 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 रथान मायेक बसयल्या रथान मायेक बसयल्या रथान मायेक बसयल्या रथान मायेक बसयल्या रथ तुझो माय चौरंगी घोड्याचो 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 रथान मायेक बसयल्या रथान मायेक बसयल्या रथान मायेक बसयल्या रथान मायेक बसयल्या भांगराय गोंय माझे भांगराच्या रूपान 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 मायेक माझ्या नटयल्या मायेक माझ्या नटयल्या मायेक माझ्या नटयल्या मायेक माझ्या नटयल्या रथान मायेक बसयल्या रथान मायेक बसयल्या तव रूपानी नटल्या माझी आई नव रूपानी नटल्या तव रूपानी नटल्या माझी आई नव रूपानी नटल्या तव रूपानी नटल्या माझी आई नव रूपानी शस्त्र ते त्रिशूळ राक्षस मारून सांभाळ तुझे कुळ राक्षस मारून सांभाळ तुझे कुळ पायाकडे तुझ्या पंच प्राण माझ 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 आवय तू माझे हाव घे तुझे बाळ 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 पायाकडे तुझ्या पंच प्राण माझ पायाकडे तुझ्या पंच प्राण माझ आवय तू माझे हाव घे तुझे बाळ 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 हाव घे तुझे बाळ हाव घे तुझे बाळ तव कृपानी नटल्या माझी आई नाव कृपानी नटल्या तव कृपानी नटल्या माझे आई नव रूपानी नटल्या 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 नव दुर्गे माते पाया कडे तुझ्या दिवली माझी पेटल्या नव दुर्गे माते पाया कडे तुझ्या दिवली माझी पेटल्या दिवली माझी पेटल्या दिवली माझी पेटल्या दिवली माझी पेटल्या माये दिवली माझी पेटल्या दिवली माझी पेटल्या माये दिवली माझी पेटल्या तव रूपानी नटल्या माझी आई नव रूपानी नटल्या तव रूपानी नटल्या माझी आई नव रूपानी नटल्या 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 नव दुर्गे माते पायाकडे तुझ्या दिवली माझी पेटल्या नव दुर्गे माझे पायाकडे तुझ्या दिवली माझी पेटल्या दिवली माझी पेटल्या दिवली माझी पेटल्या दिवली माझी पेटल्या माये 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 दिवली माझी पेटल्या तव कृपानी नटल्या माझी आई नव रूपानी नटल्या नव रूपानी नटल्या माझे आई नव रूपानी नटल्या 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 नव दुर्गे माते पायाकडे तुझ्या दिवली माझी पेटल्या नवदुर्गे माते पायाकडे तुझ्या दिवली माझी पेटल्या दिवली माझी पेटल्या दिवली माझी पेटल्या दिवली माझी पेटल्या माये 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 दिवली माझी पेटल्या देहाची दिवली काळजाची वात देहाची दिवली काळजाची वात देहाची दिवली काळजाची वात देहाची दिवली काळजाची वात भक्तीत पेटेत दीपास्तंभ भक्तीत पेटेत दीपास्तंभ देहाची दिवली काळजाची वात देहाची दिवली काळजाची वात देहाची दिवली काळजाची वात देहाची दिवली काळजाची वात भक्तीत पेटेत दीपास्तंभ भक्तीत पेटेत दीपास्तंभ भक्तीत पेटेत दीपास्तंभ भक्तीत पेटेत दीपास्तंभ दिवलेचे दिवले माय माग पावली दिवली ती दिवली माय माग पावली संकटा येता तूच गिरावली संकटा येता तूच गिरावली दिवलेचे दिवले माय माग पावली दिवली ती दिवली माय माग पावली संकटा येता तूच गिरावली संकटा येता तूच गिरावली तूच गिरावली तूच गिरावली तूच गिरावली तूच गिरावली तव रूपानी नटल्या माझी आई नव रूपानी नटल्या तव रूपानी नटल्या माझी आई नव रूपानी नटल्या 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 दया दुधाचं माठ बांधलावे दया दुधाचं माठ बांधलावे विद्या सुधामा माटा तुरा करी विद्या सुधामा माटा तुरा काना पोड रे माट तो जावनी दया दुधाचं काल काना पोड रे माट तो जावनी दया दुधाचं काल कृष्णा भावरे भावरे भक्त तुझा हरायचा कृष्णा भावरे भावरे भक्त तुझा हरायचा कृष्णा भक्त तुझा हरायचा कृष्णा भक्त तुझा हरायचा तव रूपानी नटल्या माझी आई नव रूपानी नटल्या तव रूपानी नटल्या माझे आई नव रूपानी नटल्या 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 हसत नाचत गे आये श्री नाव दुर्गे अंबाबाई हसत नाचत गे आई श्री नाव दुर्गे अंबाबाई Thank you so much, everyone. जो आप लोगों के सामने अभी जो हम लोगों ने डांस प्रस्तुत किया था वो गोवन ट्रेडिशनल डांस, लैम डांस, अगर आप सबको अच्छा लगा हो तो फिर से एक बार तालियां हो जाए. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Representing them over here. This is his fourth T20 World Cup.
Thank you so much. That was vigorous. And I can imagine the amount of training and skill that went behind it. Go girls. Well done. Thank you. As also you who were singing and the accompanists and the ones on the... Go back.
Hello.
Okay. भाई वो बुक गया एक बुक गया बुक दोनों एक ही छोड़ा तो मस्त बैठ Yeah, okay. Come. जो यहाँ पर जो लैम डांस हुआ था आपके सामने, इसके लिए हमको बहुत प्रैक्टिस लगती है क्योंकि अगर कुछ भी गलती इधर से उधर हो जाए, कारण पूरा का पूरा बैलेंसिंग के ऊपर रहता है. हेड बैलेंसिंग बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है क्योंकि हम लोग, मैं अखिल गोवा में 151 ग्रुप पूरी तरह से ट्रेनिंग किया हुआ हूँ. तो आज भी मेरे को यहाँ पर मौका मिला, ये मेरे सौभाग्य की बात है. और मैं सबको आप सबको धन्यवाद देना चाहूँगा कि आप सब ने यहाँ उसका पूरेपूर फ़ायदा उठाया है. सो सबके लिए दिल से धन्यवाद बोलता हूँ. ठीक है.
Absolutely superb. Congratulations to all of you. With this, we come to the end of this evening's program. I have an announcement to make. Just behind these big lights over there, there is a table where they're giving you printouts of the preamble of the Constitution of India. And I request all of you to take a copy, take it home, frame it, let it remind you of our rights and responsibilities. Thank you so much. Good night, everyone. Have a nice evening and hope to see you tomorrow and the day after.